Hi everybody, this is Exploring Dimensions for All with Kathleen Heisley. And I want to talk to you today about the nature of time. And I think this is a timely topic right now because everybody's worried about the future. Maybe not super enlightened people, but I'd say the bulk of us right now on the planet are pretty concerned about getting sick, about what's going to happen with the economy. I'm recording this on April 3rd, 2020, and the world is in quite a stir, as a lot of you know. And in any case, when we're afraid, we're generally worrying about what might happen in the future. Well, what is the future? Do we know that there is a future? Do we know what time is? So this video is going to call some of those things into question. So I think most of you have probably had at least one deja vu experience. So you've been driving down the road and suddenly you remember driving down the road, that particular stretch of road before, but you've never been there. Or you're talking to someone and you get goosebumps because you feel like you've talked to that person before about this topic, but you really haven't. It's like you just got to that place, but it feels like a memory. That's deja vu. In French, that means already seen. And most of us have had those experiences. Okay, so what are those? How is that possible? All right, I also have met many people that have had precognitive dreams. So they've dreamed about the future and then the future has happened. In one case, I knew someone who dreamed about an entire day in advance. And then it happened. I knew another lady that unfortunately kept dreaming about plane crashes, and they kept happening. So if this happens at all, how's that possible? So I've recently gotten, in the last couple of years, into something called remote viewing. And in remote viewing, it's possible to take a number and then get sensory impressions and other kinds of impressions about the past, something at a distance, or something in the future. And in one case I did get something in the future. I set up an experiment for myself in which I would view the news 5 days in advance for 1 minute. And I just had a number that I assigned to that, and 5 days later I got to the news. And in my session I had actually drawn a picture that I would later see televised on the news, and so I know that that's possible. I also had a vision at one time when I was really young. I was 8 years old and my mom wanted me to go to sleep. And I was really upset because I knew from cartoons that Chinese people were awake when American kids were asleep because it was daylight there when it was nighttime in the US. And I was quite upset about this. I didn't think it was fair at all, and I started to think about China. And as I thought about China, I suddenly felt like I was 24 years old, and I was walking through a marketplace, carrying a baby, looking for my husband. And as a child, I thought, well, that's strange. Maybe I'm seeing the future. So later, strangely, when I was 23 years old, I had a chance to go to China. And I thought about that vision, so I went. And I fell in love with a Chinese guy, and I still remember the vision. And I got married over there, and I still remember the vision. So I figured, well, I might be making this happen because of the vision, but never mind, it's fine. But here's what happened. I had recently gotten married, and I was in a marketplace in China with my husband and his sister. And she handed me her baby. And they went off and got lost, and I was terrified. I had no idea how to get back. I had no money. I had no mobile phone on me. There were mobile phones, but very few people had them, and I certainly didn't have one. This was 1990. And then I looked around and I thought, oh my gosh, this actually is my vision. But all of that time, I had assumed that I would go to China, I would get married, I would have a baby, and I'd be carrying my own baby in the marketplace. Obviously, no, it was a baby in the marketplace. And I looked around at the marketplace and I went, oh my gosh, this is it. This is actually it. So I'd like all of you who may be concerned right now to realize that we may actually just be in an artificial concept of time. That time may not be what we think it is. It may not be linear. And if it's not linear, we have nothing to worry about. Whatever we're worried about may have already happened. We may be being born right now. We may have already died. This whole thing that we're seeing may not be what we think it is. And if so, being afraid of the future is rather silly, even though it still happens to me. So with that thought, I hope you have a nice day and take care out there. Until next time.